So I think we all know what importing and exporting is. Basically, you're taking products from point A, and you're getting them to point B. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a great distance. For example, if you're getting products over the southern border from Texas into Mexico, yeah, you're exporting very short distance. And it can be by any of the different routes, by air, by rail, by road, by sea. And these are all ways that we see companies getting their products overseas, and it allows us the benefit of having a wide array of options. What are some other advantages or benefits of getting access to products from overseas besides variety?
It's less expensive.
Could be less expensive. What are some other reasons? So the price is certainly one, but there might be other issues in terms of the fact that perhaps you can't get it in the US at all, or maybe the quality is not the same. You have products that are imported from, now when we say import, we're talking about import. I'm in the US and I'm importing from, let's say, Europe, or let's say Latin America. But what are some famous European imports? Cars, of course. What else? Wine. Luggage. All the fashion merchandise.
Okay.
What are some other famous imports? Somebody said something?
Yeah, I'm not sure, Prof. I said tobacco or like cigarettes.
Okay. Particularly, cigars are a big import, U.S. import. And particularly, what type of, what cigars are famous around the world? What country has I won't say it's not really exclusive domination, but their cigars are known the world over for their quality.
Cuba.
Cuban cigars.
Cuba has world famous cigars, particularly the Cohiba cigar, which was actually made for Fidel Castro. It was custom made for Fidel Castro. And we actually went to a tobacco farm in Cuba, and they were demonstrating how they roll them and how they cut them, the size, and it was just an amazing process in the amount of care that it took to roll these cigars. But the reason that these are imported is because they're either not produced here, or they're not produced with the same quality or the same craftsmanship. So we have a benefit. Now, of course, it's illegal to import Cuban cigars here in the US, but you can still get them through you can get them through the black market. And that it's not legal, but there are Cuban cigars that are imported. And I know this because I was in Jacksonville, and I was passing by a cigar shop. I don't smoke cigars, but I went in and asked the guy if he had Cuban cigars, and he kind of looked around, before he told me. He says, "Yes, we have them." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." I was just asking. And he kind of looked suspicious, like he didn't want to tell me. But obviously he wasn't supposed to have them. So, but these are also some of the barriers. Embargo is, of course, a big barrier. And then you also have the issue, all of these issues that when we talk about a foreign, now in our case, we have a foreign country trying to get into the US. Some of these are issues that you're going to have to advise that company on in terms of distribution, documentation, packaging, legal procedures, product liability. Do you have to go through the FDA? Do you have to go to the USDA? Do you have to be regulated by the Federal Trade Commission? What are the regulatory bodies in that company's industry? Are they financial vehicles? I mean, what are the rules for that? And so you have all of these issues that you have to deal with. And of course, in terms of the servicing exports, you have these issues in terms of making your products and ensuring that at the other end, you have everything in place, your supply chain, getting your materials, maybe even establishing a plant in the United States, a foreign plant. Just like you have a BMW plant here, you have all these companies that actually produce their cars or manufacture their cars here in the United States. Actually, my second car was a Honda, and it was made in Canada. My first Honda was made in Japan, and it came straight off the ship, or however they got it. But my second car was made in Canada, and you can see it on the door jamb with where it was made. But certainly, if you're in a foreign country, you want to make sure that you have all of these mechanisms in place. This is rather old, but you can kind of see the level of trade here as far as clothing. And you notice China is #1 by far. And you notice if you look at the tags of your clothing, it's probably one of these countries. You see United States is all the way at just 6% of the world market. You have China as #1. You go into Walmart and you look at all the merchandise that's made there, and a lot of it is made in China. You have the European Union I talked about the luxury products, the fashion, the Italian shoes, the French fashion. You also have the Swiss. The Swiss are very big into clothing and apparel. So not the watches. They're famous for watches, but they're also big in apparel and textiles. But you have most of these are places where goods are cranked out because they have very cheap labor. And in some instances, you have outsourcing hubs where a country like the US or a very prosperous country would send their materials to these countries to be assembled and then sent back to the home country to be sold in Walmart and these other places. And this is 5 years old, so it's probably the numbers are a little different. So you have all these government entities that help to the export effort of the business people in that country. What is the entity that you would go to here in the US to help you if you wanted to export overseas? What is that organization? I mean, there are a lot of them, but there's one in the government that would be very helpful. Anybody know? So that would be the Department of Commerce. So if you are a company, a US company, and you need assistance and you're trying to figure out how to break into foreign markets, you would go to the Department of Commerce. And there's all types of materials and guides to, and actually people to help you with that process and to give you some idea of preparation and also consulting services. The same service that you're giving, then the Department of Commerce have similar services to help you make that jump and to let you assess whether that jump can be made at that time. Here are some other things we already talked about. These programs, tax breaks, subsidies, government assistance, free trade zones, and you have tariffs, non-tariff barriers, which we talked about earlier. Import controls. So import controls may be a situation where a government may not only limit as they have here, that's a quota, but they may also have different currency values, currency rates for imports. They have different rates. So you have a market rate, you have perhaps a rate for luxury imports or for foreign imports. And that amounts to a type of a tax that is not really a tax. It's just a way of getting, it's a way of kind of controlling the market through the currency exchange. And these are some other non-tariff barriers. Monetary policies. Monetary policies deal with interest rates. So if you're a foreign business and you need access to capital, what kind of interest rate can I get? Well, the interest rate might be a bit higher because you may not have a track record. You might not have a credit in that country. So maybe the monetary policy is not as favorable to foreign countries. So you have also these barriers. Okay, so lastly, before we break into the groups, harmonized tariff system. I wanted to actually show you this, and then I will close and we'll break into our groups. I want to show you how sophisticated this tariff policy is. This is the Harmonized Tariff Schedule. And again, this is a resource that you can gain access to. It's free. But you look at the different categories: live animals, meat and edible meat, offal, which is the intestines and organs, organ meats, fish, crustaceans like crabs and lobsters, edible fruit, all these different categories, cocoa, sugar. So if you're bringing these in, then these are the tariff regulations: pulp of wood, silk, impregnated. That deals with textiles. I don't know what that means, but people who deal in that business certainly know what it means. Let me click on one of these. This is a PDF file, and let's look at meats. Okay, so this is what you got. You have, of course, it tells you what qualifies: guts, bladders, and stomachs of animals. And so this is this is a quota. So Canada and Mexico, since they're part of the free trade area, there's no limit. But Australia, New Zealand, there are limits. And Argentina, which is a big cattle producing country, is it also limits. And these are the tariff schedules, and you'll see this in the book. And they have all the different rates here. So you have single tariff schedules and double tariff schedules. Single tariff schedule is simply a general tariff for everybody that's not in that, that's not part of NAFTA in this case, or not NAFTA, the USMCA. And then double tariff schedule could mean the tariff plus a tariff on something like size, quantity, or a specific type of product that's coming in. So that's how it looks. Just wanted to show you that in case you wanted to know how it looks.